welcome to Street Parliament. My name is Chimelli. Today we ask a question that cuts very deep. Is our diversity as a nation a blessing or a ticking time bomb? Ethnic and religious diversity was meant to enrich Nigeria as a nation. But decades after independence, many citizens still vote along ethnic lines, form political alliances by religion, and exhibit more loyalty to tribe than nation. So we ask the big question: are we too diverse to be truly united? Or have we just simply refused to build a sustainable structure to accommodate our differences? Before we take it to the parliament, Tante has the facts.
Nigeria, officially the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is a country in West Africa with a population of more than 230 million. It is the most populous in Africa and the world's sixth most populous country. Nigeria is a federal republic comprising of 36 states and the federal capital territory, Abuja. On that note, Nigeria is an intriguing weave of cultures, faiths, and tribes, constituting a huge population that should ordinarily serve the Union. Essentially, its rich diversity holds an abounding potential for collective progress and development. However, this unique demographic composition has continued to create problems of cohabitation. An example is the Nigeria Civil War, 1967 to 1970, which had its origin in ethnic and religious politics. In the dispensation of political favors, it is shameful that despite the spike in education and exposure, many citizens still view happenings largely from primordial lenses. It is pathetic that the whole idea of voting is simply to install a government that would place one group or religion above the other. On socio-economic development, all citizens are required to engage in harvesting the full benefits of the uniqueness of culture and talent of the disparate groups that constitute the country. For a better Nigeria, accepting our diversity and ensuring it reflects in how the country is being administered is the path to achieving unity and, by extension, growth and development. Respect for diversity is about tolerance, peaceful coexistence, and equal opportunity. But then, just as Chimelli has rightly said, is Nigeria too diverse to be truly united, or have we just refused to build a structure that accommodates our differences? Well, let's hear what the panelists have to say. Back to you, Chimelli.
Welcome back. This is still Street Parliament. Thank you very much, Tante, for that explainer with facts. And now we take the question to our parliament. Hello, I will start with you. First of all, do you think personally that the idea of one Nigeria is a failed colonial experiment?
Well, based on what I've seen from empirical facts, the idea of one Nigeria is live and healthy with its attending challenges. There is no nation that is homogeneous and cohesive without features and fault lines. Is the ability of the founding fathers, the leaders, as well as those in authority, their ability to meander the Oxbow Lakes, apology to Patrick Obayagon, in such a way that we can live a cohesive life. You know, salad will be very sweet if it composed of different types of vegetables, but a single salad won't be sweet. Okay. That's my submission for now.
All right. So I'd like to ask you, based on what you've said, so you don't think that the slogan of unity in diversity that is being thrown around a lot of times is used as a tool of manipulation or divide and rule by the government and by the politicians?
Well, I may wish to disagree. Let's go back historical a little bit. The father of Nigerian nationalism, in the person of Albert Macaulay, when he was about going, living there, he handed over the Nigerian project to whom? Benjamin Nnamdi Azikiwe. And the ethnicity of Albert Macaulay isn't the same with ethnicity of Benjamin Azikiwe. In fact, from historical perspective, Azikiwe won the first 3 or 2 seats from Western House of Assembly from Lagos before we begin to exploit our fault lines to our advantages. So there was a time that Nigeria, we got it right. The first vice chancellor of UI was Professor Dike. The first vice chancellor of Lagos was Professor Njoku. There was a time we started well. It was historical record that there was once a Fulani man that was a mayor of Enugu. So if Nnamdi Azikiwe could be born in Zongeru around 1902 or 1903, it means his parents were existing in Zongeru before amalgamation of this country. So even before the white man put us together, there was integration. But the politician came and began to exploit our ethnic fault lines. Okay. That is my submission for now.
Okay, hold on. I will come back to some of the things that you've said. All right. He has said that, according to him, he doesn't think that the idea of one Nigeria is a failed colonial experiment. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Anyway, there are divergent opinions whether the idea of one Nigeria is colonial experiment or something that we Nigerians actually want to, build upon. But the question is, if we must keep the colonial masters away from this mess we find ourselves here, because it will be an intellectual somersault for us to feel that this, experience or exercise that we find ourselves today in this country is something that will actually give birth to something reasonable. And that is my own perception.
Okay, so we'll come back to some of the things that you've said so far. I'd like to ask you, do you think that in the history of Nigeria so far, apart from, when he mentioned the beginning, when we had it right, has there truly been an inclusive government? Or has there been other powers at play like ethnicity, religion, and a lot of other factors?
Well, all I can say is that Nigerian society is one that is very heterogeneous. And in terms of heterogeneity, we have several components, which includes religion, tribalism, ethnicity, and some other things. The reality is that a house built with saliva will always be destroyed by dew. We need to check the foundation of this country. Was it built on truth, or was it built forcefully or with false intentions? The indices to Nigerian politics that you just mentioned can never be ignored, because religion, ethnicity, tribalism is already an integral part of our politics. And this is these are the factors that have led to all this social collapse. Because we have seen situations where in our daily lives, even if you look at our national anthem, the anthem automatically signifies that in a particular stanza here, though tribes and tongue may differ, those things are not needed. You are re-echoing the fact that we are not one.
Thank you very much. I will come back to you with some of the things that he said and some of the things that you had mentioned earlier. You talked about the fact that at the beginning, we had it right with the first leaders to a certain point. And he talked about the fact that, there are a lot of indices that we need to get rid of before we can get it right again. I'd like to know if you share that sentiment with him, and then you tell us at what point you think that we lost that footing, and if it is possible to actually get back to how it was.
Well, I agree with him partially and I agree with him partially. Let me elucidate further. You see, at independence, we were doing well. The regions were doing well. Where did we get it wrong? Some youthful guys thought the country was not going in the direction they wish. They committed a grave blunder by planting the first coup. But if we must move forward as a nation, we must have a forgiving spirit. Up till today, we've not forgiven that coup. And it's still haunting a section. Across every state, even where they are homogeneous, they will say this one is from upland, this one is from riverine. It has always been the fault line. So ethnicity, religious diversity is not the issue. It's the instrument the politicians do manipulate. Inherently, they are part of our biographical characteristics. However, We need to strengthen National Orientation Agency. We need to rejig the curriculum. And we need not to be afraid in teaching the history of actually what happened during 1967 war so that we don't repeat the mistakes. The ugly truth that happened, the acrimony, the reconciliation, have we actually reconciled? Why is it a taboo that every ethnic group feel uncomfortable for an Igbo man to become president of this country? I'm not an ethnic Igbo, but it is what is happening today. It means we have not forgiven the original sin of those youths that committed the blunder. But there was a time in this country that we don't care ever wherever you come from. I remember there was a time the Ikemba of Inewi, the former warlord that repented, that we buried with Nigerian flag, which I'm proud to say, came to campaign for an Abga candidate here in Gogolada in the name of Ubali Babangida. We were speaking Hausa together fluently. I was surprised. How can somebody that left Biafran war could be able to speak Hausa fluently? It means there was a time we were integrated before we disintegrated. We cannot judge a tribe by a single mistake they have made. We need to heal, we need to forgive, and we need to build. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to come back to you with sort of a different question, because you mentioned a couple of the indices that affect our political society right now. I'd like to ask, do you think in the last decade that religion has progressed or hindered the progress of our national unity?
I can say it categorically that there was never a time in this country that religion threatened our political institution. There was never a time. Internationally, societies of the world operate based on their nature and composition, because man is a product of his environment. We have fought more civil wars in Africa than every other part of the world. Now, I need to let you know this, because in our everyday lives, what makes you think, my name is Lakunle Oluwaseun Ibrahim, what makes you think if I remove Ibrahim from my name, I'm not a good Muslim? Can't I be a Muslim without bearing an Arab name? Can't I be a good Christian without removing Jacob from my name? These issues are already planted in our societies. Look at the case of Sudan and South Sudan. One is predominantly dominated by the Muslims. One is predominantly dominated by the Christians. That is how it continues. Religion has caused more problems for us in this part of the world than it. In fact, the essence of religion is to breed peace, to bring peace. But the religion we practice now bring pieces. Because our society is in disarray. Yes, I know what I'm telling you. It is when election is coming that these leaders use some of these indices to deceive the gullible followers. Elite emancipation has nothing to do with religion. That is why you see Dangote and Davido's father eating on the same plate. That is why you see Atiku getting married to a Christian. That is why you see Saraki getting married to a Christian. They do not care. When Nigerians want to share jobs, they don't care. When they want to fornicate, they don't care whether you are a Christian or you are a Muslim. But when politics comes, when job comes, it's either you are a Christian or you are a Muslim. It's now so bad to the extent that even among the Muslims, we have fake Muslims and original Muslims. In what capacity can you identify a good Muslim? In what capacity can you identify a good Christian? These indices are already part of us. That amalgamation of 1914 is a marriage of inconvenience.
Okay, all right, thank you. I will come back. I will come back to that. I want to pick up from what he said. He said two very vital things. He talked about the fact that religion has sort of done more harm than good to us in this part of the world. And he also said the amalgamation is a union of inconvenience. So I'd like to hear your opinion on that, if you agree or if you disagree.
Okay. Again, I'm a man of critical reasoning. I was taught from that background. Summoning the courage, the brevity, to say the truth before anybody, damning the consequences. If you will die, it is better. Of course, we certainly we are going to die. We will test that. Okay? But let me die for the truth than dying for nothing. And I will ask, who and who were part of or who were the signatories of the amalgamation of 1914? I ask that question. Who and who? Mention their names. the Hausa man, the Igbo man, the Yoruba man, the people from Middle Belt, the minorities from different geopolitical zones. What are their names? Who invited them to take part of the amalgamation of 1914? That is one. Two, I want to take again from my friend. There is unity in diversity. Let it be on note that what built a country is what we call common value system. It is either this common value system is natural, organic, or you build one. And America, again, is not a good example of a country that is built on the premise of unity in diversity. America is built on core value, Christo-Roman Judaism, or whatever it is called. They have a value system they built for themselves. And that is why, if you are a Muslim today, or if you are if you are a Jew today, or if you are African traditional believer today, you want to travel to America, they will give you a form to fill. In that form, you will surrender whatever religion or ethnic background you are coming from to the supremacy of the American Constitution. In other words, if you go to America today, America is a Christian country. And again, let it also be on note that no country in the world that is formed the way Nigeria is formed that will ever progress.
All right, I'm going to come back to that. Then we're going to talk about the part of how Nigeria is formed. But for now, I would take it to my guys at the back, and I'd like to hear one or two things from you. Because when he was talking about the religious aspect, you looked like you were full on support in a lot of aspects. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that perspective.
Yeah, actually, I am in total support because I came from a background where, you know, I grew up in a Muslim environment. For instance, my granddad is a Muslim, but I am a Christian. You get, and all of my brothers, including myself, were given birth to in the north. So now, ask me, I cannot discard any Muslim around me. Like the gathering we have here, we have Muslims, we have Christians amongst us. But then, let us ask ourselves, why do we allow these people, I mean the elites now, to divide us through this religious line?
So before we get to that question, because I'm sure you're about to answer it, I'd also like to know if you think that a proper restructuring in some way is what is necessary, like a lot of people have been saying, or if you think that probably this is a time for us to peacefully disunite.
I think I'm at crossroad there because restructuring, I do not think it will work for many reasons. I mean, like I said, the elites will not, they are most likely not going to let it work. Do you understand? That's one. Then if you look at the other side of it, even we that are here, we are loyal to people. Some of the elites are people that we look up to. You know, we are loyal to them and we see them like our mentor or people that we can say, okay, they are going this direction, we go the same way. Do you understand? So, for instance, if somebody like me is even agitating for restructuring, and the person I'm looking up to, for instance, is not, you know, subscribing to that line, you know, somehow there are chances that I'll be like, okay, since I belong to the same school of thought with this man, okay, let's just go the same way. So it is laced with a lot of factors, you get. So
okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, so I will come to you with the last question that I asked him concerning if you think that at this point, with everything that you've heard and with everything that you've seen going on, if the right thing to do is try and find a way to restructure, as a lot of people have been singing, or if it is to peacefully disunite.
Well, for what they have said, there is no conception in their opinion. What the challenge here is for us to accept the modern way of doing things, and what we are looking at is our diversity in either ethnicity or religion. And what is bringing the differences? Is it the ethnicity or the religion? No, it is the politics. And when we move into politics, it's a different ball game. It's somebody trying to emerge a leader using different means of getting there. So some people may employ religion antics to get there. some may employ ethnicity to get there. That's not an issue. What should be the focus of our unity is development, and the values that determines our unity. So our religion, our ethnicity should be a tool for those development. That should not hinder us from growing. Every nations of the world has ethnicity. Every nations of the world has religion. So what should be our focus if we want to build infrastructure? Is it religion that will build infrastructure for you? No. Is it ethnicity that will build institutions for you? No. We should strengthen our religion. I heard one of the parts talking about the national orientation. There is need for ethical teaching of what the national unity is all about. Politicians have strategies, antics used to win vote. So most times the populists succumb to that and take that home as an issue. No, that just whenever politicians are talking, they are talking for the purpose of electoral victory, not for development. Okay. So we should always be careful not to follow their footsteps. Okay. And that is where the populations are tending towards, and is now bringing post-election issues.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. We will go back to you because I said I was going to come back to ask you to continue what you were saying the last time when you talked about how Nigeria was formed and the fact that, no country is going to progress if it was formed the way Nigeria was formed. And I'd like you to just, briefly tell us just a little of why you think we got it wrong and how we could have gotten it right, or how we can get it right now.
All right. I made that statement on the basis of the formation of Nigeria. The founding fathers of this country never formed this country themselves. Nigeria was a British creation, a British thinking. It was like a kind of a litmus test. Let us test this thing and see what is going to give birth to. But of course, I stand to be corrected again that globally, no country have the kind of demography we have. No country can say we have, for example, 50% Christians, 50% Muslims. That alone is an indices of crisis, considering how sensitive religion is globally. It is not even Nigeria alone or Africa alone. Religion is an issue that people do not want to play with. No matter the perspective you are viewing religion to be, it is something that has eaten so deep within this country. And again, who do you blame? Do you blame our founding fathers? Do you blame the British who gave us Christianity? Or do you blame the Arab that gave us Islam? And again, for the purpose of knowledge, no country in the world, I stand to be corrected. Please hear this very interview. No country in the world that has borrowed foreign religion that is developed.
Okay, all right, sir. But because of time, we cannot deeply get into that. I'd like you to tell us, maybe in a sentence or two, how you think we can get it right now.
In the words of Professor Ukeje, to his memory, his blessed memory, for Africa to move forward, you must understand it from behind. What has happened during slavery, what has happened during colonialism, and what is happening today. If we lack the ability to go back to history and study what has happened, where did we get it wrong, then we might be deceiving ourselves that this country, the thing is offending me. When I see intellectuals like myself believing that we will continue to move this way and certainly get it wrong, my dear sister, we are going to hit the rock.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to hear a word or two from you about how you think that we can get it right now, if we were to start trying now.
Well, I will say I disagree with my learned friend that we don't have a kind of common belief or value system. Our common value system is Ubuntu. I am because you are. There is no African setting where there is no sense of communality. I remember when we are growing up, you don't need to, you just need an elder in an environment to administer discipline on any child. Nobody will question, but it's not happening today. We've dropped those ones. And I concur with what he said. The foreign religion we've borrowed, it may put some people on the nerve. But the fact of the matter is that we are more Catholic than the Pope. What am I trying to say? Look at Saudi Arabia, look at Yemen, look at Dubai. Do you see Al-Majri there? You don't see Al-Majri there. But here we have one. We have an institution that is enslaving millions of potential children with memory. If somebody could commit Quran to the brain at earlier 6, 7, 8, you give him physics. What is physics? What is chemistry? We need to blend. We need to blend. If we don't want to discard the Ajami, the Islamic system, we need to blend it. What do we need to do? Let these guys go for their bara or whatsoever between 8 to 12. But from 12, put them to vocational centers where they can learn plumbing, carpentry, welding, skills that pays job. In the next 3 years, you are going to graduate millions that will build this country. That is how we will prevent banditry. Similarly, if you enter any town, the biggest house there will be either church or a mosque, not industry. It means that it is insanity to think that the people that enslave our forefathers, that colonize our great-grandfathers, will give us a theology that will liberate us. We need to look inward and adapt the good part of the foreign religion and also adapt the good part of our local religion, because I wonder the way they call all our religions evils, but all our evil idols, they are always taking it to their land. Why are they so in love with our own evils?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you for that concise standing. From everything that we have said and you have heard today, you have seen that the problem of Nigeria is not diversity. The problem is the division. And until we build a system where inclusion is automatic, where faith is not a vote buying tool or tribe or ethnicity a weapon, we will keep spinning in circles. This is still Street Parliament. My name is Chimelli. Thank you very much for joining. Join us again on Trust TV, same time, same station for another engaging and thrilling episode.